Hey everyone, my name is Becca Menchaca, and for my project, I chose to research literacy instruction with digital and media technology. Technology touches almost every part of our lives, yet most schools fall far behind when it comes to integrating technology into classroom learning. Many are just beginning to explore the true potential technology offers for both teaching and learning. When properly used, technology will help students acquire the skills they need to survive in this future workforce. Integrating technology into classroom instruction means more than just teaching basic computer skills and software programs in a separate computer class. Effective technology integration must happen across the curriculum in ways that research shows both deepens and enhances the learning process. In particular, it must support the four key components of learning: active engagement, participation in groups, frequent interaction and feedback, and connection to the real-world experts. So for the project, I looked at a variety of both national and international views on technology integration. Upon doing some research, I found that researchers believe that there are three levels of technology integration. The first being technology as a novelty, technology as a necessity, and then technology as a natural. Technology as a novelty means that you are a beginning teacher as in integrating technology. Technology as a necessity means that you use the technology in your classroom, but that doesn't go much further than that. You are the one who is using it. Technology as a natural means that students are learning on the technology and they're being leaders in their learning, as well as teachers using it. The goal should be for technology to become a natural part of the learning environment for all. Many teachers fall in the technology as a novelty and technology as a necessity category. Researchers also believe that a digitally enriched environment helps increase the amount of student engagement, and we're going to talk about that more later. Looking at the international views, I was able to read an article about non-English speaking students from a high school in Taiwan. These students were able to use technology in order to improve their reading comprehension of the English language. They used what is known as a flipped classroom approach. I have attached the article, which could be found at the bottom of this slide, that you might find to be very useful if you are wanting to learn more about flipped classrooms. The researchers were able to conclude that after using the flipped classroom approach, where students were using technology at home and learning before they came to the classroom, that students were able to improve their reading comprehension. There are many pros to using technology in the classroom. Thanks to technology, students really enjoy learning. Students are addicted to Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram, and Twitter, and other websites from a very early age. The internet can distract them from the learning process, but you can also use their inclination to spend time online for a good purpose to make learning enjoyable. Using touchscreen technology and online presentations to make classes more interactive. You can also rely on technology when you want your students to take part in discussions. I've also found that technology helps with my differentiation of instruction. And finally, it's really helped prepare students for the future. There's also some points to consider about technology integration. Using software programs on computers does not necessarily prepare students for new literacy expectations. For example, when I was a student in elementary school, I was taught to use PowerPoint all the time. However, now that's not as really useful for me. There's so many new literacies that are constantly changing and so many new programs that are being created. So students need to continually be exposed to different types of software programs in order to be able to apply them in the workforce. Second, not everyone has access to technology. So new literacy should really try to offer equal opportunities for all students. There's a lot of differentiation that could be used in order to promote learning. First, technology allows for students with disabilities to have access to appropriate modifications, while students who excel have access to appropriate challenges. I've also found that with my own personal experience that my English learners benefit from supplementing verbal and written information with videos. There are many current reading and writing strategies that can be applied. First, I think that it'd be great to activate background knowledge through the use of virtual field trips. I've included an example here. This could be used when discussing branches of government. Students may go on a virtual field trip to the White House. There are tons of these available on YouTube and other resources using Google Maps. You type in the location you'd like to go to, hit search, and you can select certain areas that you would like to tour. This would be great with providing students with background knowledge of topics that they might not necessarily know about and help them develop schema. So you can tour these locations, and it's like you're actually there. Besides that, you can also enhance comprehension. Sorry about that, guys. Through the use of semantic mapping. I enjoy using the website Wordle to do so. With Wordle, you can type in various words into the screen and hit generate, and it will create a semantic map of what you just typed in. In order to build vocabulary knowledge, I also incorporate the website called RazKids. RazKids was created by the makers of Reading A to Z. Students love getting on RazKids. They find it to be a very interactive program, and I like it because it gives the students the opportunity to both build vocabulary knowledge as well as practice their oral fluency. As far as writing strategies goes, I like using technology for my students to create graphic organizers. We also use Google Docs to generate ideas, as well as practice written fluency through the use of Quick Writes. This is my lesson plan that I created for this project. I teach 4th grade, and the subject for this lesson was that students would be able to identify the main idea of a passage, as well as provide details to support the main idea. I also wanted my students to be able to discuss the life of Paul Revere and the impact he had on the American Revolution. In order to introduce the lesson, I used PebbleGo. PebbleGo was used to watch a video about the American Revolution. We also PebbleGo was used to read the article, while BrainPop was used to watch a video on the American Revolution. We looked at different words that would be able to determine who Paul Revere was as a person. Certain words that stood out were courage, determination, patriotism, loyal, diligence, and leadership. We used different strategies to figure out what these words might mean, such as using the suffix or context clues. I believe that defining the main idea is an important strategy for students because it's a prerequisite skill to summarizing a text. Identifying the main idea of a text also improves comprehension and understanding. We can use this strategy in many different ways, but I always use this strategy when students are reading nonfiction text and learning new information from nonfiction text. I encourage my students to pay close attention to the title, illustrations, and first or last sentence and clue words that are used repeatedly. We typically use this strategy in guided reading groups as well as in daily instruction. Once students have found the main idea, I ask them to prove it to me by writing what the main idea is and listing 2 supporting details to prove it. You can view more of this lesson plan later. I will attach it into my discussion thread. So technology, of course, is very innovative. Students have increased access and choice. I find that though I teach in a Title I school with 80% students being on free and reduced lunch, the majority of my students do have access to the internet. Though not all do, we do have services that my school can provide for those students. Technology can also allow readers to annotate text and share notes. Google Docs is a tool that my students use weekly in my classroom, almost daily. Students like to be able to comment on the work of others and share work together. I also enjoy using the website called Newsela. The website posts articles that are current about current events, and they could be adjusted to the Lexile levels. Technology may also be used to record students' reading as they practice their reading fluency. So after looking at this Prezi, I would like you to consider, based off of the 3 levels of technology integration that I mentioned at the beginning of this PowerPoint, what level would you classify yourself as? I believe that I am the technology as a necessity. I use it daily. I truly believe that it's helping my students. However, I know there are some areas of improvement I could look into. I would definitely like to further examine the flipped classroom approach where students use more technology at home, but that will be based off of my students' needs as well. I hope you enjoyed viewing my Prezi. I've attached my references right here. If you would like to look at any of these articles further, I thank you for watching this video, and I hope you all have a great day.